Hey, y'all, it is December the 29th, 2022. We find ourselves live on the internet once again just to do it. I had nothing better to do than to get upon YouTube, right? And I don't know why people are upon it, but God bless you if you happen to stumble in here. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. It's going to get quite awkward, I'm sure. All right, but in the meantime, I just wanted to jump into it. I have been doing a little bit of something on Rumble.com. Go ahead and get to the Rumble app. All right, it is the future. It's going to take some time to get real nice. All right, but they do live streams. Haven't got upon the live streams on Rumble. I just want to, I guess start off with endorsing Rumble. I've been putting little stuff on there because I can't live stream, not yet. I and we're talking about a difference of like $12 or some stuff. That's how little money I got, buddies. I The $12 is something that I'm gonna have to think about spending a little bit later. When I do spend that $12 to $15, I'll probably be able to live stream upon Rumble. Right? And I look forward to it. But we're on YouTube right now. Why? Because it's the end of the world. Right? Or I mean, it might be right before the end of the world, but I figure we get some practice sessions in. It don't even matter if people come into the room or not. I But they might. And so I thought I would say, hey, what's up to the people on the internet and say, hey man, I miss you and I love you. And of course things are getting more and more bizarre. I feel some sort of inclining to share this bizarre stuff that's taking place. I try to do it on Rumble, did it in little 10-minute segments. Just doesn't feel right. I can't get it all out. I sound like a dang homeless person on drugs, on any number of drugs, talking about 10 minutes worth of snippets and stuff. So I thought we'd take a little bit of time out before I get out of here. And I gotta go get that money, buddy. It's very important. It's very important. The money. I gotta get it. And YouTube sure ain't gonna want to give me no money. YouTube, me and YouTube have an interesting relationship. Okay, all right. I got a few things that I got here upon my desk right now. I don't know how to work technology and devices, but if and when I pull this stuff up, I got all sort of things, bizarre things that I gathered before the broadcast, actually, just right before the broadcast. I Very little preparation, but I also did want to mention that stuff's getting real. We're gonna discuss maybe some of the stuff on the headlines, and some of the stuff in the headlines really ain't all that important. But mind you, whether or not we get to it, stuff's getting real out there, buddies. People dying. We're gonna talk about that tonight. People dying. Uh, Anyways, let's just dive into it and get a little bit of the taste. Well, okay, here's what I wanted to start off with. I just real briefly, it might not be here nor there, but I do want to express that people getting shot up. People getting shot up and down here in San Antonio, Texas. I like way worse than the Wild Wild West. People getting shot up and down. Right, and I don't want to spend the whole broadcast on it. It might be similar where you're at. Maybe it's not so much. And of course, people would love to dive into the political nuances of some sort of legislation that they could put forth in order to stop people from getting shot up and down, left and right up in San Antonio, Texas. It's not going to work. I wanted to point out something. It's not that it's not enough guns. I mean, it is that there's not enough guns, right? That's really the problem because people are wilding out. I lots of times they find themselves in such a situation where they feel like they're the only ones who have guns, and they go ahead and take advantage for whatever reason. This has always been a thing, but it's definitely on the increase in San Antonio. Like, for example, we got headlines just from 2 days ago: man shot in the back of the dome while sitting in his SUV on the west side. None of that's very surprising to me, but it just goes on and on like that, right? There's a man facing a murder charge after shooting two people and killing one of them, and that was 2 days ago. That's a different incident. 2 days ago, when people got shot up. A man shot while trying to sell shoes outside Far West Barrett County home. There's certain little bits of advice that I want to give to people, especially younger people out there. And selling to strangers is going to become more and more so dangerous than ever before. And you're gonna get shot up for some shoes. And then I saw that coming, but I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say, yeah, you can't sell shoes to strangers. And see, that's a whole can of worms in which, it's going to be very, very hard for low level consumers to be able to even deal with each other in that regard. And a lot of people are going to get shot up for shoes. 19-year-old passenger shot after somebody opened fire on vehicle east of downtown San Antonio. That's not real surprising, but it just goes on and on like that. That's what I want to point out. Look, suspect still at large after shooting man in the back. That was a day ago. And there's also the other man hospitalized after being shot in the dome, and that could be that was 2 weeks ago, so that's probably an entirely different incident. Road rage incidents lead to fatal shooting in South San Antonio. It doesn't even matter what direction I'm saying. That just sounds typical. You took him away. Said a daughter says father was killed up in some shootings. People getting shot up and down. All right, I haven't really had time to get all organized through the different various shootings. There was a woman grazed by a bullet in the back of her dome on the northeast side not too long ago. Medical examiner identifies man killed in a shooting. San Antonio teen in a hospital after he got shot playing with a gun. Right, guns are now shooting people on accident. They're they got AI technology. Woman fatally shot while riding on a vehicle I-10 near downtown. See, that's another example. Look, Uber driver, passenger. See, an Uber driver and a passenger hospitalized after getting shot up on 410, and that's not surprising. Right? But that's very unfortunate. I've read a lot of these articles before, to include the Uber driver and the passenger both shot up. Situation of somebody getting in a heated altercation with somebody else, and then calling the Uber to get out of the situation and leave, but instead y'all both get shot up. And I find it very interesting because right before the broadcast, I mentioned that I was looking for this, some material, right, such as this. I typed in the words on Google San Antonio shot, figuring out to give me a general feel of people getting shot. And I just want to note that it seems trending that most people getting shot in and around vehicles. All right, so take that for what you will. And I've been saying that people, y'all better cool it on the streets because people getting shot up and down in San Antonio, namely in and around vehicles, it seems lots of times. I don't know if that's a new trending thing on the rise, but it'll give you more reason probably to be polite on the road. I would figure I'm very polite on the road and quite conservative, a defensive driver, in fact, and it's never been a much better time than now to be so because you'll get shot up and down on the streets. I mean, we're talking about once a week at least. I see there's two people up in the building. Thank you for joining me. We got a little bit of time before we get up out of here. Well, we got like 30 some odd minutes, 30 some odd minutes before we had to go get that money. But I don't know if you heard about this or if y'all are happen to be in the San Antonio area or if y'all happen to be in the area that for some reason people getting shot up and down. And lots of times it's in and around vehicles. Right? So just be wary of that. There's one incident that the news would like you to know and stuff. From San Antonio, they couldn't never get traction on it. This is happening by the thousands. I just wanted to point out this is happening by the thousands across America right now. Little incidents that they would love to get traction on. They would love to make it a big national kerfuffle, if you will, but it just doesn't. It's lackluster, and it just doesn't have what it takes to be on the national scene like this incident, for example. There's a headline that reads Fired San Antonio cop is indicted for shooting teen in a car. And that's a headline, I guess, from 4 weeks ago. So it's been carrying on. Nobody cares. But the news is really trying to make it into something in which it's like, oh, check out this cop. He shot this poor teenagers in the parking lot of a McDonald's. You know, if you hadn't heard about this situation, um, the cop mistakes this teenager for some other teenager, apparently. Some other teenager, while criminality is rampant. Some other teenager somewhere had did something the day before. And as the story goes, allegedly, this cop thought that that was the very person in which was doing all sort of criminality the night before. So somehow, some way, and I haven't really dove into it, but preliminarily, just looking at it, a situation I've seen some videotapes, seems to me that it's a situation of the cop, unfortunately, who's fairly white, but he's not white enough, probably. The cop, he didn't do a good job. You know, he wound up shooting a teenager, shooting them all up in the McDonald's parking lot. That wasn't a good job, but also what they'll never point out, obviously, is that unfortunately, just to be objective, I gotta say that the teenager also did a stupid job. And it's like, Dad, dude, I know we're living in a crazy world right now. None of these teenagers are really ready for. We're not ready for it. Thing is, he didn't know how to act. He wound up putting the car in reverse and like trying to pull out and stuff like that. That's when he got shot up. All around dumb moves made by everybody. So this cop gets fired. Perhaps he should have got fired because he was really tripping and slipping. But it's not something in which like they don't care because the kid's not black. All right. So end of story, buddy. Kid's not black. I people getting shot up and down in San Antonio. I saw an article, if you were to believe it, the other day, and it was saying, according to 2021 statistics in San Antonio, they said every form. So we can talk about these potions. I on YouTube before they get mad at us. Yeah, we can talk about it. These potions killing people. I don't know if I can say that, but they dying. People dying all over the place. But in San Antonio in particular, I want to point out and see if y'all feel me out there. But San Antonio, they said every way in which you can die has been going up, has been statistically going way up. Homicides, they said suicides. They said people accidentally dying has been going, people accidentally dying has been going up. Of course, sudden unknown for nobody knows why suddenly people are dying. It don't even matter what age. It don't even matter what health they're in. I mean, that's what I've been seeing all around town, all over the nation, I'm sure all over the world, the flat world, people falling out quite suddenly and dying. And I just want to take a moment out while we're here to thank God that we're even here at this moment. I think it's actually pretty appropriate to say, "Hey, damn, dude, we made it to this point. Wow, it's amazing." I kind of, I don't know. I don't want to be all preachy or anything, but it gives me a little bit of a reprieve to step back and say, "Damn, dude, I can't believe I made it this far." Because people dying all over the place. I very grateful for the opportunity. In my personal case, for the opportunity to even witness these bizarre things that I could have never ever to witness them. I don't know because people might stress out. It's very stressful. All right. Shout out to Alex Jones. I need to be I need to be an Alex Jones reporter. Not say work for Alex Jones. I need to just report on Alex Jones. I Because it's off the hook, dude. Every single day it's off the hook. And you can tell Alex Jones gets very worked up. He gets exhausted. Alex Jones gets fed up and exhausted covering the news. I mean, just covering stacks of news. I mean, covering 100 stacks of news, 100 stacks of news in a broadcast and stuff like that. The very type of things that we talk about, but on overload, Alex Jones will get overloaded. Even today, for example, he was like, I gotta get out of here. He's on, and it says happened a lot before. Especially more recently, it's happening more and more in which Alex Jones freaks out. And you can tell he freaks out. Either that or he's a world class actor. He freaks out. It has to leave the broadcast. They have to like put on different things to distract people while Alex has left the broadcast. And then either Alex Jones will come back or he'll actually go to rebroadcast. Sometimes it's even hard to tell, right? I want to say Alex Jones came back to the broadcast today, or he might have got all real burnt out because he's freaking out. He's all stressed out, and I couldn't blame him. Maitre Mark says death rates all up all over the Western world, all deaths, all ages, all the time. And like I said, we got our own like health right here. Hey, I've heard about people, okay, for example, if we want to name names, I'm saying like anecdotally, Alex Jones on the InfoWars, they had this guy who just fell out and died the other day. This guy was 39 years old in fairly decent health. I mean, in regards to living in the San Antonio and Austin area, this guy's in fairly decent health, 39 years old, just got married like 3 weeks ago, up and just died, fell out and died. And Alex Jones would probably know. He said, man, this guy, he did not take the potions. This guy, he just fell out and died. He's 39 years old. All right. So it's like, I don't know about y'all. I can't talk about for Maitre Mark, but I can say for myself, it's like, dude, okay, I've come to the terms, and I'm not freaking out. I'm really not freaking out, but I've come to the terms that I could die at any moment, and it wouldn't be surprising. People are all dying at any moment. There's not going to be no justice or people investigating or anything like that. I could just die. And not only that, everybody else who's out there who I even know and could care a little bit about, they could just die at any moment. Right? And we've had it real sweet for real long time. Pretty dang sweet. And this whole time, especially in America, we've had it so sweet. But we've also chosen to go out of our way to kill ourselves, such as in the diets that we eat and such as the lifestyles in which we tend to live and stuff. Dying, right? Everybody in San Antonio, not everybody, but most people in San Antonio are on the fence of dying before this whole potions and the COVID. All right, so people dying. Matron Mark says crime's up too. I get see the reason why I brought it in. is because I could tell you that in San Antonio, there's a different feel. It's day by day, it's evolving. Crime is way up. And I put it out there because I have a sick, weird feeling that it's everywhere in the entire world. There's crime going up. Like maybe there's certain rural places where people are running off to. Maybe there's not crime there at the moment, but crime is definitely going up, it seems. All sort of crime. The worst of the worst, stuff that you couldn't hardly imagine. And we might talk about some of that before we get up out of here tonight. I forget what's exactly in the headlines. We got some headlines lined up. I can't barely read this one. So I can't really, it was all blurry, but I can't really read where the article is from. There's a headline. It says, as Omicron BF7 surges, here are the top COVID symptoms to watch out for. And I didn't read the article, but I can assume the symptoms are if you're breathing and have an anus, basically you got COVID and you need to come into the facilities, all right? They need to pump you with potion. Kanye West says former business manager claims West has been missing for weeks. I love it. It's constant unmitigated entertainment with certain people, to include Ye, who, I mean, whatever Ye shows up to, if he feels like it, he can arrange for it to be the biggest thing in the damn world or the biggest thing happening in that area for a certain. And at the same time, he can also go dark and duck out on you like this one. Where? I mean, just to be real quick, I don't want to go into all the details of how this one guy who I'm seeing in the pictures, a total square. He's out trying to get Kanye West saying, "Oh, he owes me $4.5 million." Well, you're a square, dude. So he's gonna bounce out on you. And you better try to catch him. Looks like you can't catch him. Right? Constant entertainment from Ye, and I love it. San Antonio's travelers struggling to find luggage after cancellations of Southwest Airlines flights here. I wanted to point this one out because that's not a very great big news story. Oh man, all people in San Antonio's travelers struggling to find their luggage. Well, I hope some cross-dressing uh freak weirdo isn't working for the Biden administration and stealing all y'all's luggage. I hope that's not the case. But that's actually a little microcosm into what I understand is a very big thing. It's not just dealing with Southwest Airlines, but apparently it's hitting Southwest Airlines like nobody's business. All right. Apparently people are having big, big problems with it. I don't know if y'all heard about it out there. So I've seen like maybe a dozen different headlines and articles pertaining to Southwest Airlines in particular, or maybe just other airlines. I saw a headline a little while ago. It said there's not enough planes in the world. I don't I don't have a picture of this headline, but I saw a headline that said it's not enough planes in the world. People are flying too much. We don't have enough planes in the world for all the people who want to go. All of a sudden, there's not enough planes in the world for all the people who want to go flying. You see articles like this. They say there's so many people flying that suddenly there's not enough planes in the world, right? I want you to believe it. All right. Meanwhile, the economy is so whack that probably people aren't flying as much because they don't have that much discretionary money, or perhaps businesses are cutting down when it in concerns with their business flights and stuff like that. All right, they're doing the online thing, obviously. So from what I'm seeing, I'm not a statistician, but from what I'm seeing, all right, they say there's not enough planes. We don't have enough planes to fly this and that excuse. Pretty soon Russia is going to hack them and stuff, and that's going to be an excuse. All right, but what it seems to be, from what I'm understanding, not only just like flight attendants or everybody who works on an airplane, but to include the pilots and especially the pilots. It seems as though they are, for months and months now, being absolutely um, penetrated and molested by their very employers. That's what it seems like. And they're having to jump through hoops. They're having a lot of bad situations, pretty bad complications. They're having a lot of complications. And I would have to imagine a lot of it, a great majority of it has to do with forcing people to do things against their will, even when they don't believe in it, right? And having to lay off people and fire all sort of people. Yeah, that's probably a big part of it. But another big part of it seems to be that, of course, pilots all over the place are having terrible, terrible health conditions, and they're just not available to fly the planes. They don't. It's not about not having enough planes. Obviously, they don't have enough pilots because it's that severe. There's certain organizations that I've heard about allegedly that are very strongly considering and actually testing out flying airplanes with only one person. I don't know if you're aware, but it seems that most times they got a pilot and a co-pilot and maybe another one on reserve, but they're testing out just how to have one pilot because they don't have any pilots. All right. And seeing as it's the end of the world, I might mention that, of course, you're going to see planes falling out the sky and all sort of other stuff. Any number of untold calamities are going to take place up in the air. That is if you can afford to fly around the world, but you probably can't. Right? There's all sort of bizarre headlines. Like one big thing that I wanted to mention for sure before we get up out of here is Buffalo, New York. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that. There's a small city up in New York called Buffalo. They got a football team. That football team's mascot could very well be racist, all I know. But they used to be called the Buffalo Bills and stuff. I have no idea. They might not be called that. They might be called something totally homoerotic. If I could say so on YouTube. But that's a terrible, man. I've heard people talking about Buffalo, and it seems like Buffalo's got it real hard. They used to be a small city in which people had jobs. Boy, they had jobs over at the factory type stuff, that kind of jobs. They had different various factory jobs. Those obviously, I had to tell you, are overseas now and have been overseas for a long time. And then the poverty in that particular area ran roughshod for quite some time. All right. It's pretty bad already, but unfortunately, they've got an unbelievable amount. I don't even know. I don't even know how much. I'm sure there's many different reports of how much snow these people were hit with. Crazy amount of snow, and the numbers are flying around. I can't say what's what, but I've heard numbers of dozens, over 3 dozen. People have already been found dead in various different places because that's rough. Like you can't, if you get caught on the road, people I've heard, and you get caught on the road and can't nobody get you. That's how bad the snow is. Or maybe you're up in the house and you can't get up out of the house and stuff like, and nobody can come get you, and you weren't prepared and stuff like that. Maybe old folks, all sort of people getting caught up dead, and that's really bad. For San Antonio, it's God, man. Thank God, thank God, thank God, and I cannot hardly imagine living in a place in which snow can hit you that much. And then it's so cold for over half the year. It's winter time, and I just can't believe it. And people getting hit real hard over in San Antonio. It's actually warmed up. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and shorts, but it did get kind of bad for a while. I feel for all those people and stuff. I wish they had infrastructure in order to keep them alive, but it doesn't seem so. Oh, here's one bizarre news thing. I don't know anything about it, but I read a little bit of an article pertaining to this. The daughter of a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, who I don't know, they didn't say the Hall of Famer's name in this particular headline. Some Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, he had a daughter. Right, that daughter is grown now. She looks to me to be older. She's probably older than she looks older than what she probably is. But I would imagine deep into her 30s, um, his daughter is right now. What she did, got her in the headlines, was she abandoned a newborn child in the woods on Christmas. Hey, that's bizarre. I mean, that almost sounds biblical to me and stuff. Unbelievable. And I actually don't know the status of this little baby. She just left the baby, a naked baby, in the woods on Christmas. I bet you it was snowing, or I don't know what the heck. I don't know what kind of drugs are involved, but drugs are definitely involved. All right, not to just point at her, but drugs are a real big problem, and people dying. People die all over the place. And in my current particular area, I don't personally know, but I understand that in certain areas, especially because of the drugs, especially because of the fentanyl and stuff, people wilding out and leaving babies all over the place. So as we wind it down, I don't know. There's a couple more bizarre things. Look, Governor Ron DeSantis. Have y'all heard of this guy from Florida and stuff? And everybody's talking about him. Right? Him and Donald Trump going to go head to head in next year's Super Bowl. Governor Ron DeSantis is going to investigate the Christmas drag shows that were held in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And I got to say, that is a tough job. Like, I know Ron DeSantis isn't going to go do it, but somebody's got to do it. We got to pay somebody to constantly have to surveil and investigate these drag shows. And like not going north, they're gonna find so much bizarre criminality that none of us are really ready for it. They're not ready for it, and it's their job to do it. And they gotta go investigate, and certainly they're gonna find all sort of weird wild stuff. Something like that went took place in San Antonio, Texas. And I mentioned it before, I guess like a week ago or something like that. They had this drag queen Christmas story bonanza for children. And I understand that some people got certain footage from the incident. I still haven't seen any of the footage or what exactly went on, right? But I did see some of what took place outside of the theater. I only saw little snippets, but from what I saw, you had protesters, which we could talk all day about protests and whether or not protests are whether or not they're not retarded. They're retarded, dude. But the people go out and it's like it seems like they got good intentions. But what are you gonna do? I'm asking you, what are you gonna do in reality? Are you gonna stop? Are you gonna shame everybody into like stopping the drag queen Christmas show and going home? Or what are you gonna do? What's gonna come of this? What's the plan exactly? But they had a protest going on, and I forget. I don't really remember, but there's some sort of black group in San Antonio. It's very funny, but there was some sort of black group or something for Black Freedom or some stuff. And I don't know if they're the only group, but there was a group out there for Black Freedom, and they were there fully strapped up on behalf of the drag queen Christmas story hour. And of course that could have boiled over into like who knows what, but it's just funny because of course it's non-existent black advocacy up in San Antonio. It's like it's not necessary. Let's just say it like that. People have rights, no matter the color, obviously, but they're always getting tied in with the drag queens. Like you can't have nothing black without making it transgender as well. That's messed up, dude. I would feel messed up as a black person off of that. I just wanted to point that out. CNN, for example, before we get up out of here, they're talking about why eggs are going to be so expensive this year. CNN is run by all sort of per. I don't know what I can say on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about, right? They're ran by these people, and it's obvious perpetrators. Let's call them child perpetrators. CNN is ran by child perpetrators all day, every day, and I'm so sick of it. I I just saw a movie the other day. I don't hardly ever go watch movies, but I saw it in theater. And I actually had a pretty good time too. It was a movie called Babylon. I know it's pretty long out there, but I would say it's worth it if you got some time to go out to the theater and watch it. Um, it's not all about, but it's pretty much definitely about how child perpetrators are the ones running behind the scenes. That's the people pulling the strings, child perpetrators, all day, every day. And there's nothing that they could do to say otherwise. Child perpetrators, they're talking about eggs. Why are eggs going to be so expensive? Is it because everything else in the store is going to be so expensive? Y'all wrote an article about this, why eggs might be so expensive next year because y'all shut off the economy. All right. Uh, there's a band or something, a musical group called Modest Mouse. Some people my age might be a little bit familiar with them. Remember back in the day, Modest Mouse. The drummer Jeremiah Green diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Everybody getting cancer, buddy. Everybody's dying. Everybody's going down, and I want you to know that. That's for sure. I'm not over here stressing about it. The reason is because I could be the next one that goes down suddenly out of nowhere. There's not going to be no investigation. It don't matter. I Somebody's gonna have to deal with my body and my bills and stuff like that. That's gonna be pretty messed up. That's gonna be the most messed up part of it. And it seems to me that we're just here to watch it all take place. And it's not to discourage people from going out and doing what they can in order to make a difference in this world. This world's messed up, buddy. I don't know who clings to this world. Who would cling to this world? I And so, but it is also amazing that we made it all the way here. And I just wanted to point out before we get up out of here, all right, as we wind it down, I want to say this. It doesn't seem, I mean, it kind of does matter, but all demographics of people are falling out dead, right? And lots of people are killing other people, and lots of people killing themselves. Lots of people accidentally dying, accidentally shooting themselves up. Um, and we're here uh, I guess, to watch it all unfold. And of course, we're here to recognize how bizarre it is. I'm not here to tell other people what they're here to do and stuff, but it seems to me that it's enough to watch it all take place. It's all gone well beyond our wildest imaginations. And it's going to get even more worse. People are already dying right now. They're going to continue to die even harder. And we're going to have to deal with it. And I'm talking about everybody to include people who are not used to dealing with it. It's going to get people mad, depressed. And as the statistics show, people are going to check out. Right. And one thing that I would want to emphasize is that I don't encourage people, and I don't think I'll ever encourage people. I'm going to find out how this story plays out. But I don't encourage people to check out, to check themselves out Although that might seem like the easiest thing to do at this point to check yourself out. In fact, up in Canada, a lot of people already know, but I'm sure Australia's next, and so on and so forth. The government is, without a doubt, killing people, or they're getting people to opt into killing themselves to make it easier on the government. Because the government doesn't want to deal with you. If you're in Canada, if they don't want to deal with you, they're going to try to convince you to kill yourself, and they're going to succeed from time to time. All right, but I would encourage to not do that. The reason I say that is because all these people are child perpetrators. Number one, we know where they're coming from, and I would suggest that we've seen so much to know for sure that these people out to get us. And if you were to check yourself out under all the stress and all the stuff we don't want to see and stuff, if you were to check yourself out, you mark that as a victory in their column, and they'll laugh and they'll get off to it. And I mean, get off in so bizarre of ways. They're going to get off to it. They're going to laugh and laugh and laugh hysterically to know that you checked yourself out. That's their whole plan, is to have you check yourself out, because they would love to line all y'all up and pump y'all full of potions and acids and everything up in your veins. But they know that that's not gonna work after a while. It's a lot easier to convince yourself to check yourself out, and a lot of people are gonna do it, right? And I can't say that I like, it's one of those things that you can't say never that you wouldn't do it, but I don't want to say that I'm not gonna do it. And they could do all any number of things. But it seems to me that that's the ultimate victory of them, is they get yourself to check yourself out. Perhaps they'll do nasty, disgusting things sexually to you, probably, and that's what they want to have happen. But at the end of the day, it's much more satisfying for them for you to check yourself out, knowing that they made you check yourself out, and it's really all quite bizarre. COVID, we got to get up out of here, right? And I appreciate everybody for coming out. But just to get up out of here, I want to mention two things. Number one, Adidas is stuck allegedly with Yeezy sneakers worth more than $500 million after parting ways with Kanye West, otherwise known as Ye and stuff. Thing is, I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. When it comes to Adidas, $500 million is like, you know what I'm saying, change in the couch cushions. All right, so they're stuck with these shoes. I might argue that, they better do something with the shoes, because I understand they're of great quality. And everybody might be lying about it. All right, because I certainly don't have the money to buy shoes like that. All right, but as bizarre as these shoes look, everybody says they love them. They love how it feels. They love everything about it. All right, so they love everything about it. You got Ye over here. Everybody loves everything about it. You got Adidas over here. Some faceless corporation. Oh man, they're stuck. Well, they made their decision, and I don't think they're going to lose sleep over it. But here's one more thing before we get up out of here. COVID boosters, this is according to NPR. COVID boosters, still a good idea, but most Americans haven't gotten it. All right. So everything's alleged and reported. I don't know what the heck is up and down when it comes to these numbers. But according to your own articles, and apparently through your own headlines, I can imagine and infer that what you're saying is, okay, all these people ran out and got your potion, right? Because they're naive enough to think that you're not uh, pulling a fast one on them, right? So they go out and get it. It's many, many months later. It's like 2 years later, it seems. Y'all still pushing the boosters. Like, as if anyone cares. Everybody's dying like you wouldn't believe, right? Well past pandemic, whatever your pandemic measurements were. A lot of people are dying now. You're playing it off. You're saying these boosters are a great idea, even though all these naive people that you got in the first place have since opted out of even taking it ever again and are not getting the boosters. You're over here talking about it's a good idea. Okay, it's to say that you can't go much further. They got all that they could get. They got everybody who was naive already. Right? Even those naive people are not coming back to get the boosters. The boosters were everything. The boosters had to be forever and ever, and you don't stop. Right? It's kind of like P. Diddy back in the day. The boosters must go forever, and they can't even convince the very naive people to even continue to take them. A lot of those people probably not in the capacity to take further boosters, if you know what I'm saying. And a lot of people actually just got serious enough side effects so that they just can't possibly take another booster without boosting themselves to heaven, right? But you're over here still talking about it. Y'all some child predators already. We already established that. Y'all some dirty, disgusting, low down people. Everybody in that Babylon movie. I mean, I really like the Babylon movie, but it just goes to show you that everybody in there is stricken with disease, and it's so unbelievably um, unsatisfying. It's not even. It doesn't look good no more. It's damn disgusting. All y'all I mean, are putting yourselves in a boat in which you gotta constantly take these boosters forever and ever, but everybody's already not bought it. And people are dying everywhere, and y'all are still pushing the boosters. And I just put my brain in a pretzel, dude. I don't know where you go from there. I know exactly where you go from there. Okay, here, before we get up out of here, here's where you go from there. There's gonna be a war. There's already a war. There's already multiple wars. It's gonna be real big. It's going to distract you. All right. People dying all over the place. There's going to be a war. It's going to be big enough to distract you. And diseases are going to fall all over you. Already you're inundated with diseases. There's people walking around giving out diseases by breathing on them, probably. People killing each other and shooting each other up and down and everywhere on the world. And it's just, it seems pretty messed up, right? But it might get you depressed, might get you stressed out. And I hope that it doesn't. But I would suggest, and I do. I mean, here's the thing: you can't change the world, and you can't stop this. Alex Jones was on the broadcast earlier today, and he was talking about, the gears are in motion, and he's hinted at this before, but he's like, okay, it's going down, real bad, cowboy. It's going way down to Chinatown. All right, are you ready for it? That's the big question. Are you ready for it? Am I ready for it? Anyways, I'm trying to keep a cool, calm head around here and love everybody and stuff. Why not? I mean, while we're here, go ahead and love everybody before we get blown up to smithereens. And I'll holler at y'all later, probably some more of these broadcasts, and hopefully before long, we'll get them up on Rumble. Because, for example, I was on Rumble the other day. And just for anybody out there, maybe you have some spare money and stuff. Maybe you want to go live streaming. Maybe you already do or whatever, but thinking about going live streaming. I'm sitting on Rumble right now. because if you had the money, and Lord knows I can get 12, $15, whatever it takes. One thing that I noted about Rumble, and this is the whole scheme of things, the whole sky is falling down and stuff, but however, we press forward. And one thing I noticed about Rumble is there's actually not a lot of people live streaming on there yet. I was on there the other day. It was like less than 10 people were live streaming all over all of Rumble. So as it's burgeoning, the numbers are lower, but it stands to reason that you can gain a lot of attention percentage wise on Rumble right now just by live streaming. That's a pretty good idea. And I can't wait to get up out there and stuff, man. That is if we're not blown up to smithereens, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.